Welcome, everyone, to the Lead Generation World Podcast. My name's Michael Faree. Thanks for joining us today. We got a great conversation. But first, I hope you guys are all doing well and safe. I think most of the country here in the United States is on lockdown and at home. So I hope you guys are doing well and staying sane and getting work done and continuing to build your businesses. Over the next week or two, we'll have a number of different podcasts. Hopefully that will keep you informed in some respect and entertained in maybe others. But we'll be bringing on a number of different guests from around the lead generation industry to talk with them and talk shop and talk a little bit about best practices. So today we actually have Garrett Mehrguth from Directive. Garrett has got a really interesting story, a passionate guy, and created his company right out of college, bootstrapped it, and has got a successful company on his hands. So I'm looking forward to chatting with him and hear more about his story and what he's got going on in the future of B2B lead gen and marketing. So we'll bring Garrett on in just a moment. But if you're interested, before we bring Garrett on, if you're interested in being part of the podcast, you can email me at mike@leadgeneration.com. Where you'd love to talk with you and see if there's a fit and doing an interview. So, all right, well, without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring Garrett in. All right, everyone, welcome to the Lead Generation podcast. I've got Garrett, the CEO of Directive, with me today. Garrett, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Michael. Glad to be here, man. It's exciting and excited to chat with you. So thanks for having me.
Definitely. You know, I noticed one sort of common thread between us is that you went to Azusa Pacific University. Is that right?
Yeah. You went to Azusa?
No, I didn't. But I did live nearby, and I, as a kid growing up in that area, was always in the area of the college. I did spend a couple semesters at the neighboring junior college, Citrus College, played baseball there for a year. And then
where'd you grow up?
I grew up in West Covina area, so just sort of down.
My wife's from La Puente.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, did you guys meet in college?
Yeah, we met in college. Yeah.
Okay, so so you went to Azusa Pacific, and then out of school, according to your LinkedIn profile, you founded Directive. Is that accurate? Or was there something in between?
I mean, in between, I was cleaning bathrooms in the summer. I was tearing down chairs. I was putting up goalposts. I was driving my moped around, like my old Peugeot 103 SP, like just trying to just do random hustles, side gigs. I worked at the Chamber of Commerce, mostly just like classic college kid jobs, like doing utilities, maintenance, other things like that. But
okay.
Yeah,
well,
no.
How do you go from doing all those sorts of things to founding Directive? Like, where's how did that all come about? Tell me the story.
Yeah. Well, first I was just trying to make an extra buck, and so I started selling social media calendars and like database stuff on Fiverr. So I was it was like $5 gigs back then. That was really the only option. So I was selling social media calendars for $5. And then I was trying to get like small businesses. Have you ever seen the show Nathan For You?
I don't think so. No. What is that?
Yeah, I just saw it's just like a ridiculous show about some consulting guy who like tries to help small businesses, and he has like horrible advice and stuff. I probably wasn't that far off from that guy, but like just trying to help small businesses, ride around on my moped. Got one, it was like a falafel shop, helped him for 30 days. Came back on the 30th day. He said, "Hey, come back tomorrow." I was all right, cool. I came back tomorrow. Whole place was boarded up. So that was the first Directive client. I was, doing my master's. I was 21 years old. And, I was trying to play pro soccer. I tore my knee my senior year. So I kind of just decided to start a company, helping people with mostly like small businesses who didn't know the internet, like how to get a Yelp page, how to get a Facebook page. I started like learning how to do a little WordPress on my own, and then somebody asked if I could rank a website. So I said, hey, I've never done it before. So I went on Moz, went on WordStream, went on kind of a bunch of the Search Engine Journal, all the publications kind of at that time. And I think I literally read every blog post on Moz from like multiple years back, like 3 years back. I just read all the posts and I kind of came up with a mantra called learn, engage, create. This idea that if I could learn something new every day and engage with it by like implementing it or practicing it, I could create more value for myself or for my clients. And so kind of just did that. And then I brought on my best friend as a business partner. We had like, I think $20 or something, and we started Directive and just kind of learned it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
How
it.
was it? What was it like, going out there? Obviously you were highly motivated, getting out of college, got an MBA, you've got, school loans, whatever. But now it's the time to, put the rubber to the road, so to speak. So you're motivated, but I mean, how hard was it to go out there and find clients initially, to put their trust in you?
Not hard.
Yeah.
You'd think it'd be harder. I think one of the biggest like things I've learned in life is the only person that stops us is ourselves. Um,
Yeah.
like we stop ourselves. Like there isn't like some imaginary competitor who shuts you down 99.9% of the time. There's these random people like, well, what if Uber copied your idea and stole it from you? Like, that isn't like how it really happens. Usually they buy you and then you still make a multiple, right? Like, in general, we're the reasons we stop ourselves. We become disinterested in the field. We make poor financial choices. We don't focus on new business. We don't focus on retention. We don't focus on gross profit. We forget about net profit. We don't do a good job with accounts receivable. We don't structure accounts payable. These are all things we are 100% controlling that usually stop us. The rare global pandemic that we're experiencing today is rare in the sense that there hasn't been one of these in the modern era, right? And so, no, to get new customers, I just kind of like called family, friends. My parents were missionaries, so it wasn't like we were loaded, so we weren't super, well off, but I moved out when I was 18. I never really moved back with my parents. I kind of just did odd jobs. I had a couple independent consulting gigs at Fiverr. I still had my side jobs. I kind of did all of those while I was starting the company. And yeah, we just really hustled, man. Like if you
Yeah.
work really hard, services doesn't require a ton of capital.
Yeah. So tell me about how, do your first sort of big client, are you still working with them, and what who was that, and what was it that you provided to them?
Sure. Yeah, so I think I was 23 maybe. We got Allstate. Um, so yeah.
And
So
what were you guys offering to them? Was it search engine marketing? Was it just agency services? What was it?
yeah, local SEO. So at the time, we had kind of niched into local SEO. We never started it. Like I never started with the goal of being anything less than the largest agency in the world. So everything we built, everything we tried, everything we did was always put through that lens. So I think another reason why like we stop ourselves is because we accomplished what we set out to, or we didn't necessarily focus on becoming something and then trying to become it later. It's really hard to shed skin. Like most of us aren't snakes. Like we can't just rattle around and then shake our skin off and then keep going. So a lot of times the constructs we set based on our initial vision really limit us when we get to our future vision. Luckily, like I guess my future vision was always to try to just be the best I could be, and I figured the way I can become better is by managing more people and managing larger accounts, and then putting myself through more of a stretch as a leader. And so I always felt like for me to grow, I needed to stretch myself as a leader. So I always wanted to run a large agency because I figured that'd be the hardest thing I could do. Um, it
Yeah.
wasn't because I could make more money, right? If I just independent consulting had a couple accounts and charged a huge retainer. But for me, like to develop as a man, in all aspects of my life, I think you have to stretch yourself. And so my kind of goal was always to really stretch myself. And so that's what we set out to do. And yeah, we're
Yeah.
kind of on our journey.
Do you think that's sort of an innate feeling or goal that you just were sort of born with, or is that something that you sort of developed over time?
I think obviously like there's their nature versus nurture debate, right? Around how much was that came from your parents through your experiences in life and how much you were born with. I think for me it's probably a blend of both. I think I always had a really strong sense of duty to the gifts I feel like I was given. and not letting down my potential, I think, is probably my largest driver. And thinking, you do have these gifts. How can you best maximize those? Like, what can you make out of that in your life and have an impact? So that's kind of just the way I went about it. But yeah, I didn't like have any experience in marketing or worked at a marketing agency or did anything. I just kind of, people just assumed I knew how to do the internet because I was young. And so I figured, okay, there's leverage. I'll just learn the internet. They assume I know it. And then you just charge as much as you can deliver. So, the first clients, we were only charging 200, 400 a month. It's not hard to get clients if you don't charge them anything. Like if you barely charge anything, it's not that hard. And then you just turn them into case studies. And then the next one you charge more, turn into a case study and you charge more. And as simple as it sounds, like anybody can build a massive agency if they just go get a small account and they can, provide for obviously their family. It's easier when you're younger. And then you just turn that into a case study and you go to the next one. And then you got to learn management and things later. But at first, you just got to learn how to do the work well and charge more each time.
Yeah. So tell me about that, actually. I mean, so you guys went from obviously zero. Now, how many employees do you have now? 70 plus or so?
No, we're at like 50.
Okay.
We kind of went away from small business. So we kind of like let go of every client we had that was a small business account. Like when their contracts were up, we kind of just, we let them know ahead of time and we phased them out. Did great work, focused really well on transitioning them, introducing them to other, people who could support them if needed. But no, so when we did that, we needed a lot less headcount, which allowed us to have better, revenue per headcount by, offering a higher margin service, in the services business, your margins are never that great because as you raise your retainer, you still have to raise, your salaries, which compound annually, especially if you're trying to keep your core group. And then obviously expectations increase, so salary increases. So everything kind of evens out, frankly, a lot of times on margins. But no, we don't need as many people as before because we have a lot higher minimums than we did before.
Yeah, but the dynamic changes. I mean, you go from a hustler all by yourself and your partner and bringing on clients. Now you've got to manage 50 employees. How was that transition, or was that pretty natural for you as well?
So I never did the work because I never intended on being a small agency. So like the whole time I've been practicing being a leader and being an executive, surrounding myself with people who are smarter than me, trying to empower my partner and our co-founder to run operations. And then, I try to read a lot and then focus on growth and then focus on management, just learning how to be a better manager, how to be a better leader, just constantly consuming information and then, constantly just putting yourself out there and being okay with being vulnerable with your team and, just becoming better.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me a little bit more specifically about what Directive offers and to your clients today.
Yeah, so we do performance marketing for software companies. So essentially we do SEO and PPC, and obviously some CRO and analytics are a part of those deliverables because you have to be able to report on it and you need to optimize it and those pieces. But the core buckets, right, is search engine optimization, organic, and then paid on pay-per-click for essentially people in the SaaS, B2B, or B2C space. And yeah, I mean, we do have some enterprise accounts outside of that, like Allstate, still to this day. But majority of our clients are in that kind of mid-market to enterprise SaaS player space, where we're working with large in-house teams a lot of times, trying to hit quarterly targets, doing really good quarterly business reviews, annual campaigns, strategies. Yeah, working with awesome in-house teams.
How'd you guys find yourself, focusing mainly on SaaS companies?
That just happened, man. At first, it was naturally just local because everybody like I knew through my family was like a plumber or like a pool person or kind of like a lot of just blue collar stuff. And so that's where we started, with these $200 to $400 a month clients. And then, you get you're like software that pay $5K and they don't even blink. They raise funding. They're spending other people's money. What the hell is this, right? And so you start to kind of learn about this whole new world. It's like they get money to spend it to get more money and spend more, and you're like, this is great, right? As an agency, you're like, this is the dream. So we kind of just fell into software. Next thing you know, all our case studies look like software. All our team is great at helping software. And then I fought it, right? Because I want to work with Nike. I want to work with Adidas. I want to work with global brands. Just because that's my personality. But the truth is what we're best at, and frankly, I think better than anyone else in the industry at, is helping software companies. Like we've worked with over 300 of them. Like this is our bread and butter. Like we're very, very good at it. And so that's kind of
What do you think
now
the
what we do.
what do you think the key differences are there between helping a SaaS platform and maybe a non-SaaS or a product-based company?
I mean, e-commerce has like unit economics that are really different when it comes to advertising.
Yeah.
It's also heavily on paid social. Um, Simultaneously, B2B struggles on paid social because it's purchase intent indicative. So what I mean by that is, you're very timing dependent in B2B and you're timing independent on B2C. In other words, you can create this idea of action. You can create this idea of capturing or generating or getting a purchase, someone to buy your $9.99 razor or someone to subscribe to your monthly gift box or whatever that is. B2B, there's contracts. See, in B2C, there's no contracts. So in B2B, due to contracts, you're very timing dependent. In other words, you have this window, 90-day, 30-day, 60-day, whatever that buying cycle is in that industry, to essentially capture someone's demand. And what do, right? They search top ERP software, they go online, they check out their review sites. Hopefully you're one of 3 people. Then your product fits their need or their vertical. You have a great close rate. That hits your CAC to LTV margin, and you grow. And so what we've got really good at is just understanding how to generate new business for these software companies by understanding the search engine results page, understanding, how they do their own financial modeling internally so that we can speak with them one-on-one, and then just, supporting them. Just having case studies in the space, having a network, having experience of, hey, if we try this call to action instead, it works. And try this instead, and it works.
Yeah. So one of the things, obviously search has evolved over, the 10 years, 10, 20 years it's been around, but the, for a long time is links and content and all that sort of stuff. What's sort of the state of, SEO today, and where should the focus be for a lot of companies today? Is it still content creation? Is it links? What is it?
It's the same stuff as always. It's just the barrier to success is higher. Okay, so in other words, what I mean by that is back in the day, you could do keyword research. You could find a lot of great opportunities, low difficulty, spin up an 800-word crappy blog post, and then rank in the top 3. People didn't really read it. They still converted, and it worked.
Yeah.
You see, now there's so much saturation from these SaaS firms, right? So they have all this VC money that comes into them, right? And then they have to allocate that resource, right? So it's capital allocation. A large part of capital allocation is pivoted from traditional media spend to digital. And then from digital, what they're finding is that it's very difficult to do paid alone and still hit a profitable cost per acquisition on your customers. So what they end up doing is trying to pursue long-term, lower cost per acquisition channels like organic. Well, as everyone else in their channel also starts to do it and they all share the same keywords, and there's still only 10 spots, right? That's never changed. There's still only X amount of organic listings. In fact, sometimes there's less than 10 now. And so what's really happened is you can't get lucky like you used to. You used to be able to just spit out content all the time and the person with the most content won. Now it's a little bit more about understanding your audience. It's about having a product that resonates. It's about really also the ecosystem. In other words, what are your reviews on Capterra, Software Advice, G2? Like, how are you positioned as a brand? And from what I'm noticing is SEO's moved away from being about your website and a lot more about being about your brand. And the better you understand that and position yourself to be discovered as a brand and not try to get your website to rank for everything, but say, look, the whole point of SEO, right, when it first came was, wow, there's this thing called the internet and people are searching for what I offer. I want them to find me. And then people said, well, you need a website, right?
Yeah.
I would argue that you don't need your website now to drive a ton of opportunities from digital. You need your brand. In other words, you need reviews on these sites because when you search top ERP software, your individual website can't rank. Like, it's not that Microsoft Dynamics, SAP, Oracle don't have a marketing team or content or budget or a website or a great domain authority or great leads or any of that. It's that the intent of the SERP has changed. I call this the Yelp and the Amazon effect. In other words, we've been taught as consumers to look at reviews when we buy a $5 breakfast burrito. We sure as hell look at reviews when we buy a $250,000 software. And Google knows that, right? So they started to change up the types of results they service. Now, a lot of people are still trying to rank for things that they actually can't rank for, and it has nothing to do with any of their effort. It has everything to do with the type of content Google's choosing to surface, right? And so by understanding the game, this is where our true value, right, and our deep expertise in SaaS comes in, is it allows our clients to stop doing things that have zero return, focus on things with high returns, and then generate more value.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really great piece of feedback there. With regards to the review sites, I mean, this is big, especially for B2C companies, not necessarily with SaaS, but I'm sure it's really not far off. It's been live or die with Yelp reviews or whatever niche review site it is. I assume it's probably pretty similar from what you're saying as well for SaaS companies. I mean, that's where a lot of focus is going on the review sites.
Yeah, I mean, purchase decision has been democratized, and a lot of brands
Yeah.
don't realize it. So they don't have enough infrastructure and things in place to offset negatives, which you get. Every business gets them.
Yep.
If you think you're not going to get negative reviews, you're
Yeah.
not probably being realistic, regardless of how hard you're working. You run a business, you have lots of employees, people make mistakes, and customers have high demands. You do get bad reviews. That's a part of life. The
Yeah.
question is, do you have a system to get good ones? And have you focused on it? Are you allocating effort, time, spend, resources there?
Yeah, and
It's
that's what
just
I was
another
just thinking. I
piece
was
of the
I
bigger
was thinking,
funnel.
if you're selling a $250,000 piece of software too, you're probably not looking at that as with any focus at all with regards to reviews, right? I mean, or even asking for your client reviews at all.
Yeah, a lot of times they just forget it. I mean,
Yeah,
they'll host a golf event for them, but they forget to get reviews, and then they wonder why
yeah,
sales are down.
yeah, yeah. All right, so you guys provide those SEO service, but also paid services as well, paid search, paid media.
We do a lot we're about 50-50, and really like
Yeah,
we're pretty much split down the middle. So it's a lot of organic, a lot of paid search.
yeah.
But yeah,
So what are companies, we sort of touched on it earlier. Obviously we're going through this crazy, pandemic with the coronavirus and people are working from home. Budgets are, a lot of people aren't even thinking about committing to any software, any upgrades for their business, period, just because there's so much uncertainty. And you posted something on Twitter too, just the other day. What do you sort of suggest companies be doing over the next 14 30 days to ensure that they've got a good runway for the rest of the year?
yeah. I mean, there's things you do as an executive around cost cutting, right? And that's
Yeah,
separate. And I'm sure most people are doing those measures. I think though on the marketing side, when it comes to proactive, you have to ask yourself a couple things like, are you in a cash position that you could do mergers and acquisitions right now?
yeah,
Right? Because if you have a competitor or someone in your space, or you're trying to do an acqui-hire and you're trying to expand on a deliverable line or improve a product line, or you want to, acquire maybe a different competitor's engineering talent, or you want to bring on a product and add it to your feature set, whatever that is, right now is a great time to do that if you have the runway, number one. Number two, I think this is a great time to get better at segmentation. Like one of the most powerful things I can do now that I wasn't even able to do last quarter
hmm
is say I work for software.
yeah,
Now I can map out my total addressable market. I know that there's 8,500 companies with over 50 employees and less than 5,000 in the software space. Perfect. Now I can go use an account-based advertising tool like Terminus, and I don't need a huge spend, right? I can use a smaller spend. Now, if you're a generic product, right, and you're not niched into a vertical, right, but you offer multiple verticals, you got healthcare, you got hospitals, you got this and that, you got public utilities, whatever it is, right? What you can do now is you get to say, okay, which one of these has our highest close rate? Where I like to say close rates leverage, right? So close rates
yeah,
where you can oftentimes have the most control over your financial targets when it comes to ROI. So what industries do you have the best case studies in, best references, highest close rate in? Cool. Now let's map those industries, and instead of doing generic marketing in Q2, let's do segmented marketing, right? Let's go after specific verticals that we have great gross profit in and we feel confident about, and we can go after those. And so, I think the big thing in Q2 is not to say we're not going to spend anything, but simply allocate the spend from events and other things that a lot of B2B SaaS companies had.
yep,
Pause that, take that money, and then say, instead of marketing to the total addressable market, let's market to segments. Let's choose our most profitable segments. Let's do an exceptional job on our segmentized marketing going into Q2.
yeah. No, that's great advice. One of the things that I think you were mentioning too, if I remember correctly, did you bring up LinkedIn as well? And I'm kind of curious to know from a B2B perspective, your views on LinkedIn and LinkedIn marketing, how people are sort of utilizing it today, because it certainly is becoming very popular without question, but more and more utilized, whether it's through automation or just content promotion. So just kind of curious your overall general thoughts on LinkedIn, and then also what companies could be doing utilizing it as well over the next coming months.
Yeah, so LinkedIn's great if you're good at activation. Okay, so what I mean by that is like acquisition from LinkedIn, like we've kind of cracked the code on. The question is, can our clients activate leads into opportunities? In other words, can they turn somebody from from a lead to wanting a demo, let's say, as a software company? That's really difficult. A lot of people don't have that pipeline in place. They have a legacy Marketo install that takes like 3 people to get one thing done, and then it doesn't integrate with Salesforce properly, and then everything's messed up, and then their lead to account map thing is broken. I mean, you could go on for hours, right? So a couple things. HubSpot's better, number one. I've used both personally. Number 2, lead gen ads that are personified work really, really well on LinkedIn. So here's kind of a tip for the audience. So let's say you have an asset, the ultimate guide to demand generation. Okay.
Yeah.
It's your sales enablement asset. Sales development, account executives leverage it. You have it on your website, download a PDF, kind of old school funnel stuff, right?
Yeah.
You take that asset and you turn it to the VP's guide to demand generation. And then you launch a campaign targeting only VPs on LinkedIn using a lead gen ad. And by doing that, literally that campaign right there, we were converting at over 60% on LinkedIn. So we were getting 60% of people to give us their information. I call this personified ad groups. Well, it's campaigns on LinkedIn, but the same idea. So there's like single keyword ad groups, which were really popular and don't work as well in Google Ads anymore. And now there's like what I call personified campaigns or something on LinkedIn. Those work exceptionally well. And so then you can do that for, all you do is change the cover page, right? So you change the cover page of the asset and make it the manager's guide, the marketing manager's guide, the director's guide, the CMO's guide, and you build out all your personas, and then you launch essentially audience targeting only to those people. Then your copy, your creative, your landing page, and then the cover page, your asset, all resonate. You get phenomenal conversion rates. And you don't need the landing page with the lead gen ads. So it works exceptionally. The question is, can you get someone from giving you their email and downloading an asset, can you get them to want a demo? And if you can't do that, it fails, because then your cost per acquisition still skyrockets because you're not increasing, demos from. So, but it does work really well, and LinkedIn's awesome.
On LinkedIn, you just mentioned the lead gen ads, and pardon me for not being fully immersed in LinkedIn advertising. We do have some LinkedIn ads going, but obviously, is there a built-in lead gen form in the ad, an option for that, sort of similar to Facebook, or is it different?
I mean, exactly. They just copied that. Exactly. The same thing. So it just preloads their information, they hit submit, and boom, assets done. You get the lead. You map it over to your marketing ops platform, and you're good to go.
Got it. How do you feel about so that's the paid side of it. How do you feel about the content side? And then also, every day I'm sure you get at least 3 or 4 messages in, direct messages that are clearly automated spam messages. What's your thoughts on that stuff?
Yeah, so I think the trick is are you someone worth following? So something I've been really working on is asking myself, can I create better content for SaaS marketers than anyone else? I think I can. The question is, can I do it for an extended amount of time?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the mission I've put myself on. And then what I do is I go follow the hashtags, and I like and I comment, and I try to do real engagement. And then I connect with people without doing a message, because messages can come off spammy when you try to do them at scale. So just connect with people, and that are all in, once again, my total addressable market and my ideal customer persona. And then when they see what I'm sharing, hopefully they engage with it. And when the timing's right, maybe they fill out a form, maybe they don't. But it doesn't hurt my brand. And the idea, right, is that you create this idea. Like, this is something interesting. Like, Barstool has kind of proven this compared to like the legacy model, right? So essentially, SportsCenter is programming driven. You tune into SportsCenter for a program, right? And then you have new media networks, let's say like Barstool in the sports space, who are personality driven, right? Where the individuals bring the audience, have the audience, and then the brand essentially is just holding them. It's like a holdings company for talent, right? And so essentially B2B needs to do the same thing if they want to see success, because the way social works is people don't follow brands, they follow people. Problem is most people in B2B don't want to be a brand. And so if you can get your people to want to be a brand, you can immediately build your brand as an agency, right? And so it's kind of like reinventing and understanding how it works and then trying to play the game within that.
And this is the whole, probably even the Gary Vee kind of conversation too, right? Around content and just creating content around the things that you like and being a brand. But what do you suggest, because like you sort of mentioned, a lot of B2B folks don't want to be the brand. God forbid they put their face out there or say something that could be judged one way or the other.
Yeah.
Is it a matter of just, getting out there and doing it, or, are there specific people that should be doing it and some that should absolutely, maybe reconsider?
No, I mean, I think the question is, do you have something meaningful to say?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that,
Because
and a lot of people may think they don't,
yeah, and I think we usually do. Usually the thing you do every day, you're better at than 99% of everyone else because they don't do it every day. So you have to ask yourself, how can I make what I do every day into content? Okay. And then you have to be comfortable sharing it. The world is a hateful, mean place, and the internet amplifies that. So you just have to be okay with that. But you can dip your toes in and so I'm not super comfortable with it. Like I struggle with like, do I want to actually share work stuff on my Instagram? Because that's
Yeah.
like what I kind of consider my personal area, and I share work stuff on LinkedIn and Twitter, right?
Yeah.
But if you really wanted to do it and I wanted to do it right, I should probably share what I spend 95% of my life on, which is my company, on Instagram instead of just the occasional pic once a month, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm not perfectly comfortable with it myself. So I do get where people are coming from, but I think the trick is if you can share, like what I'm doing now is I'm taking the stuff I used to blog,
Yeah.
I'm condensing all the fat, just cutting the fat right out of it, and then turning into really high value like threads or long form social content where
Yeah.
you can consume the content natively. I think that's what really working. Like Morning Brew, Strategy, and other people are proving that if you can like deliver the content in an email where all of it can be consumed in the email, you'll do really well. If you can deliver social insights that aren't like 3 sentences and a link to a blog post, that shit doesn't work. But if you can say, here's the meat of the blog post and you put it into social and you stay native within the platforms and you leverage their audience effects, now you'll see a lot more success.
Yeah. One of the things that just comes to mind, well, first of all, do you think companies should hire somebody that has that sort of personal brand to come in and sort of represent them? Almost, back in the day, there'd be brand evangelists, right?
And we still have those kind of like, like Guy
Yeah.
Kawasaki or whatever back in the day was that.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I don't know,
Um,
maybe the term's kind of gone away a little bit, but, having somebody, I've seen a couple on LinkedIn where companies have, an individual that's very active on social media. I mean, video and content everywhere,
yeah.
and it's very personal, and that's attached to that person, but it is a part of the brand as well for her company.
I mean, if you're
So
an individual, it's
yeah,
leverage in a contract, right? So if
yeah,
if you're trying to negotiate salary and you can bring an audience, that's leverage, number one. As a founder or an owner or co-founder, whatever you want to call yourself, partner, like I speak at, I think I had 30 speaking gigs scheduled this year, and I'll probably do 50 podcasts. And I think in the 2018, I did 80 videos, right?
yeah,
So, but I didn't get an audience from any of that because I wasn't strategic enough. So just creating content isn't enough. Like I'll tell you, like I did 25, 26 speaking gigs in 2019. I had over 30, I think, slated for 2020. Trying to evangelize, the Directive brand and obviously, just get ourselves out there. But the real success from all this comes from not only that, but then see a lot of people want to do one-way communication on social, and the trick is getting bi-directional. In other words, you commenting and engaging with others on a consistent basis is actually more important than you consistently sharing content. So
yeah,
consistently engaging and getting your name in the conversation should probably be 70% of your time, and then 30% of your time should be creating the content. And I'm still learning to get there. But as I do that more, and the more I'm proactively getting out there, engaging, liking, commenting, and being a part of the conversation, that's when I'm actually starting to see success.
yeah. Well, it's a lot of work, right? I mean, aside from, the 30 plus events that, or really 100 plus events that you did across all the different channels, which is a full-time, 2 full-time jobs probably. So is commenting and being interactive on LinkedIn and all these other, channels, so it's got to be tough.
So
And
it's a
you're trying to
lot.
run a
No, it's
company
definitely a
as
lot.
well. Yeah.
I like to do a lot, so it's okay. But yeah, if you do want to be successful, with building a personal brand, I mean, you're gonna have to grind it. It's not gonna come easy. There's zero barrier to entry. That's the way. Like anytime there's no barrier to entry to something, it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, before I let you go, because I know you got to head off, I'm kind of curious to get sort of your forward-thinking thought for SaaS companies and how they sort of visualize their own product promotion and their own service promotion in 2020 for the rest of the year in 2021. Where should where should they be really looking at to focus their efforts?
Yeah.
Or
I
will it be
think
changed?
community.
And really, how will it change potentially in 2021 and moving forward?
Yeah, so where I'm kind of going a lot right now, and I'm seeing myself focus is a lot on community and a lot on activation. Um, I think I like what I'm starting to notice. So we have our own SaaS products at Directive. We have a product called the Institute where it teaches you how to do everything we do here for $39 a month. Tons of video courses, lessons. It's awesome if your audience wants to check it out. Low purchase price and really, really valuable. But we do all the marketing for that. And one of the things we found was like here's a perfect example. So we have a better conversion rate when we just ask for a single field in their email. Yet we have a very poor trial to purchase rate because we can't customize the email based on their persona. So now what we do is we send them to a form and we ask for 2 kind of pieces of information, their name and their role. And by getting their role, we can now build our cadence. So if they're an owner, we talk about, have you ever wondered what, I don't know the owner off the top of my head, but like students, the digital marketing course your university never taught you, or in-house marketers. Have you ever wondered what the hell your agency is doing? You have like all your different kind of pain points or value props, and then you can do those drip emails. So by doing that, sure, we lowered our conversion rate by a couple points by increasing the field, but we drastically improved our activation point. That creates leverage, right? So a lot of what I'm seeing is kind of these ideas of creating higher value lead gen. Right? So like the old way of doing lead gen was download my newsletter and then I'm going to talk to you once or twice a month. The new way of doing it is saying join our Slack group and you can talk to us. You see, and so kind of pivoting this relational stuff into more community and activation, I think creates economies of scale on your acquisition costs and gives you leverage. So that's where I kind of see the sharpest organizations going, is kind of like back in the day, they said product-led growth. I think the future is more around community-driven activation.
Yeah, I love that. And I fully agree. I think, there's a bond when a human nature, tribalism, if you will, when you create a community of like-minded people. And once you have that and you can facilitate that to some extent, I think that's where you really find a lot of success. So that's really, really interesting. So your advice is building community, segmentation, and targeting is really sort of the way where you can get some low hanging fruit probably.
Now, once you have your positioning right, you have awareness on your total addressable market, you're discoverable, you're able to acquire essentially leads. The question is how well can you activate them and what kind of community can you build so that you can essentially, increase average order values, extend lifetime values, and have better activation from trial to purchase or from, lead to opportunity.
Yeah. So tell me before you go, how would someone get a hold of you if they'd like to ask you more questions or just learn more about Directive?
Yeah. So I'm on Twitter. I'm pretty active on Twitter. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So at Mehrguth on Twitter, just first initial, last name. LinkedIn, Garrett Mehrguth. If you want to learn how to do all the stuff I'm kind of talking about, we literally share it, spreadsheets, templates, videos, step-by-step processes. It's all on the Directive Institute for $39 a month. And if you want to hire us, check out our website and, check out the case studies, see for yourself, and then go from there.
Love it. Well, I appreciate you joining me today and wish you the best in 2020 and getting through this whole COVID-19 issue. And
Yeah.
I look forward to talking with you later.
All right, thanks, Michael. Hey, appreciate having me.